The subway doors were already closing. Marcus ran, boots pounding the concrete platform. Cold air burned his lungs as he sprinted through the Chicago station. "Hold the door," he shouted. Inside the train, a few people glanced up, but the doors kept sliding shut. 6 inches. 5. Marcus lunged forward, arms stretched, but the train doors slammed shut inches from his hand. The train began to move, slow at first, then faster. Marcus stood there, breathing hard, watching it disappear into the dark tunnel. In his hand was a small rusted key. 1 minute. That was all he needed. 1 minute earlier and he would have made the train. 1 minute earlier and he would have made the job interview across town. And if he made the interview, he might have saved his mother. Because in 12 days, Marcus owed the hospital $38,000. If he couldn't pay or arrange something, his mother's heart surgery might be delayed. The train disappeared into the tunnel. The platform fell silent. Marcus stared at the empty tracks. For the first time in a long while, he felt the full weight of something he had been avoiding. Regret. But here is the strange part. Missing that train wasn't the moment Marcus's life fell apart. It was the moment everything started to change. Because over the next 6 months, Marcus would learn something simple, something small, something most people ignore, yet powerful enough to change everything. And it all started with one uncomfortable question. Why do you keep waiting until the last minute to save your own life? Chicago, in late November, felt like a city made of steel and wind. Cold air rushed between the tall buildings. Grey clouds hung low above the skyline. Marcus lived on the south side, in a narrow apartment, above a closed laundromat. 3 flights up, the stairwell smelled faintly of detergent and old paint. A flickering bulb buzzed overhead. Inside the apartment, things were simple. A fold-out couch, 2 plastic chairs, a small wooden table. On that table sat 3 things: an unopened hospital envelope, a cracked phone, and a rusted key. Marcus picked up the key every morning, not because he needed it, but because it reminded him of something. His father. When Marcus was 12, his father walked out the front door one evening and never came back. No explanation, no goodbye, just gone. The only thing he left behind was that rusted key. Marcus never knew what it opened, but somehow he couldn't throw it away. Sometimes it sat on the kitchen table. Sometimes it rested in his pocket. Sometimes it stayed beside his bed, like a quiet question that never found an answer. Marcus worked nights at a warehouse near Cicero Avenue. Forklift operator, 10-hour shifts, endless pallets stacked toward the ceiling, engines humming, concrete floors cold even in summer. The pay wasn't terrible, $19 an hour, enough to survive. Barely, but survival was not the same thing as stability. 3 months earlier, everything changed. Marcus's mother collapsed in the frozen food aisle at a grocery store. Heart valve damage. The doctor explained the situation carefully. She needs surgery. Insurance would help, but the remaining bill was still enormous. $38,000. The hospital gave Marcus 12 weeks. 9 had already passed. Marcus had a plan, or at least he thought he did. A logistics company across town was hiring a warehouse supervisor. Better pay, health insurance, benefits. He applied for the job. The interview was scheduled for that morning. The train he had just missed was the one that would have taken him there. But the real problem wasn't the train. The real problem was something Marcus had been doing for years. Waiting. Always waiting. Marcus wasn't lazy. People misunderstand procrastination. They think procrastinators are lazy. Marcus wasn't. He worked harder than almost anyone he knew. Night shifts, weekend shifts, extra hours whenever they were available. But when it came to the things that mattered most, Marcus waited. Applications, phone calls, decisions, deadlines, tomorrow, next week, later. His co-worker Louis noticed it. One night in the warehouse break room, Louis opened a soda and laughed. "Man, you move fast with boxes." Marcus smirked. Louis pointed at him. "But slow with your life." Marcus shrugged it off. "Everyone procrastinates sometimes." "Right, but procrastination isn't really about time. It's about fear. Fear of failing, fear of trying, fear of discovering you're not ready. So you delay, because waiting feels safe. Even the job application that led to the interview Marcus just missed had been submitted 2 minutes before the deadline. Now the opportunity was gone, and life wasn't done hitting him yet. The first blow came quickly. The interview wasn't rescheduled. The position was filled, just like that. The second blow came from the hospital. A reminder call, 10 days left before the payment deadline. Marcus promised he would figure something out. He didn't know how. The third blow came at work. Warehouse hours were cut. 10-hour shifts became 6. Paychecks shrank. Bills didn't. Then Marcus noticed something worse. His mother moved slower. Climbing the apartment stairs took longer. Sometimes she stopped halfway up to catch her breath. But when Marcus asked if she was okay, she smiled. "I'm fine, baby." Collection letters started arriving. Thick envelopes, red stamps, final notices. They stacked up on Marcus's kitchen table, right beside the rusted key. Sleep disappeared. Marcus stared at the ceiling every night. 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, the same thought running through his mind. If I had just left earlier, if I had just applied sooner, if I stopped waiting. One night, Marcus opened his banking app. The number froze him. $184. Later that night, in the locker room, Louis sat beside him, tying his boots. "You good?" Marcus shook his head. "I keep screwing everything up." Louis looked at him quietly, then said something simple. "You keep waiting to fix it." 3 days before the hospital deadline, Marcus hit rock bottom. The electricity in his apartment shut off. The lights blinked once, then darkness. Marcus sat at the kitchen table. Only the street lamp outside lit the room. The hospital envelope sat in front of him. Next to it was the rusted key. Marcus opened the envelope. $38,000. Failure to arrange payment may delay surgery. Marcus leaned back in the chair and whispered something he had never said out loud before. "I don't know how to fix this." Across the street, a diner glowed warm and yellow. Marcus had noticed it before, but tonight something felt different. Inside sat an old man. Same seat every night, same still posture, watching the street through the window. Marcus grabbed his coat, put the rusted key in his pocket, and walked across the street. The diner smelled like coffee and bacon grease. Marcus slid into a booth. The old man sat at the counter, grey coat, flat cap, hands folded, watching the city through the glass. Marcus ordered coffee. Steam curled into the air. 15 minutes passed. No one spoke. Finally, Marcus muttered quietly, "I keep messing everything up." The old man didn't reply. Instead, he slid something across the counter. A napkin. Marcus unfolded it. 3 words were written in pen. "One small thing." Marcus frowned. "What?" The old man tapped the napkin, then tapped the clock on the wall, then went back to staring out the window. One small thing. That was it. No speech. No lecture. Just 3 words. Marcus took the rusted key from his pocket and set it on the table, then whispered quietly, "Okay, one small thing." The next morning, Marcus woke up 10 minutes earlier. That was it. 10 minutes. Nothing heroic, nothing dramatic, just 10 minutes. He sat at the same wooden table. The hospital envelope was still there. The rusted key was still there. The room still felt cold, but something was different. Marcus opened a small notebook and wrote 3 things. Just 3. Call hospital billing. Apply for 2 supervisor jobs. Organize documents. He looked at the list. 3 small things. The napkin from the diner sat beside the notebook. 1 small thing. Marcus picked up the phone. He dialed the hospital number. His hand shook slightly. When the billing department answered, Marcus took a breath. "Hi, I'm calling about a bill." There was a pause. Then the woman on the phone asked a question Marcus had never asked himself. "Are you requesting a payment plan?" Marcus blinked. "A payment plan?" "Yes," she said calmly. "We offer those." Marcus stared at the rusted key on the table. 3 months. 3 months of panic. 3 months of sleepless nights. And he had never asked. Within 8 minutes, the woman explained everything. Monthly payments, reduced interest, an arrangement that would allow the surgery to happen on time. Marcus hung up the phone slowly. He stared at the notebook. Task 1 was done. He drew a line through it. A small line, but something strange happened when he did. The tight knot in his chest loosened just a little. Task 2. Apply for 2 jobs. Marcus opened his laptop. The old version of Marcus would have waited. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next week. Maybe 2 minutes before the deadline. Instead, he opened the job listings immediately. 1 warehouse supervisor position. Another logistics coordinator role. Marcus updated his resume, attached it, and pressed send. He leaned back. Task 2 was finished. Task 3 took 10 minutes. Marcus organized his paperwork, medical documents, tax forms, old job references. He stacked them neatly in a folder. 3 small things, done before breakfast. Marcus looked at the notebook again. It didn't look like much, but it felt different. For the first time in months, Marcus felt momentum. The next morning, he woke up 10 minutes earlier again. Same table, same notebook, same rusted key. 3 more small tasks. Reply to an email. Apply to another job. Call insurance. 3 days passed. Then 5. Then 7. Marcus began waking up 30 minutes earlier without even thinking about it. The routine became automatic. Notebook. 3 tasks. Small wins. A week later, something else happened. Marcus slept through the night. No 3 a.m. ceiling staring. No racing thought. Just quiet. 2 weeks later, Marcus received a letter from the hospital. Payment plan approved. Surgery scheduled. Marcus read the letter twice. Then a 3rd time. His mother was in the living room knitting when he told her. She looked at him with surprise. "You did that already?" Marcus nodded. "Yeah." His mother smiled softly. "You always were capable of more than you believed." Marcus didn't answer, but inside he felt something shift. Another week passed. Marcus continued the routine. 3 small things. Every morning, even when he was tired, even when he didn't feel like it, especially when he didn't feel like it. Momentum grew quietly. Job applications turned into phone calls. Phone calls turned into interviews. Interviews turned into possibilities. Then one afternoon, Marcus received an email. Subject line, interview invitation, another logistics company, supervisor role, better salary, health insurance. Marcus stared at the screen. He didn't feel panic this time. He didn't feel rushed. He simply wrote the interview date in his notebook, then wrote 3 tasks for the next morning. The day of the interview arrived. Marcus woke up an hour earlier than usual. The city outside was still dark. He made coffee, reviewed his notes, checked directions, then slipped the rusted key into his jacket pocket. This time, Marcus arrived at the train station 20 minutes early. The same station, the same platform, the same yellow line. But Marcus wasn't running. He stood calmly, watching the trains come and go. He remembered the day he missed the train, the panic, the regret, the feeling that his life was collapsing. Marcus looked down at the rusted key in his hand. For years he thought the key symbolized something he had lost. His father, his past, an unanswered question. Now he saw it differently. Maybe the key wasn't about the past. Maybe it was about doors. Doors that open when you're ready. The train arrived. Marcus stepped inside, sat down, and watched the city slide past the window. The interview took place in a modern office building downtown. Glass walls, clean desks, bright light. The hiring manager shook Marcus's hand. "Tell me about yourself," he said. Marcus thought for a moment, then answered honestly, "I used to wait too long to fix problems." The manager raised an eyebrow. "And now?" Marcus smiled slightly. "Now I fix one small thing every day." The interview lasted 30 minutes. Marcus left the building feeling calm, not desperate, not afraid, just steady. 2 days later, his phone rang. "Unknown number," Marcus answered. "Hi Marcus," the voice said. "This is Carla from Horizon Logistics." Marcus sat down slowly. "We'd like to offer you the supervisor position." Marcus closed his eyes. For a moment he didn't speak. Then he said quietly, "Yes." 3 months later, Marcus stood in a hospital hallway. The white walls felt cold. The clock ticked slowly. His mother was in surgery. Marcus held the rusted key in his hand, not tightly, just lightly. A doctor walked down the hallway. Marcus stood up. The doctor smiled. "The surgery went well." Marcus exhaled. For the first time in months, his shoulders relaxed completely. 6 months later, life looked different. Marcus supervised an entire warehouse shift, 20 employees, better pay, health insurance, stability. But the most important change wasn't the job, it was the habit. Every morning, Marcus still sat at the same wooden table, notebook open, 3 small tasks, one small thing. One evening, Marcus walked past the diner again. The old man sat at the same counter seat. Marcus stepped inside. The old man glanced at him. Marcus smiled. "Your napkin worked." The old man simply nodded. No speech, no lesson, just quiet understanding. Months later, Marcus returned to the subway station again. Same platform, same cold wind. The train arrived. The doors opened. Marcus stepped inside calmly. No running, no panic. As the train moved forward, Marcus looked at the rusted key resting in his palm. Maybe it never belonged to a specific door. Maybe it was simply a reminder that every big door in life opens with something small. Now, I want to ask you something. What is one small thing you've been putting off that you could do today? Tell me in the comments. I read them all. And before you go, where are you watching from? Drop your city. State in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel. And if this story meant something to you, subscribe for more stories like this. Because sometimes the biggest change in your life starts with something as small as one decision, one action, one moment, one small thing today.